whatever your selfhood is, whatever your own scent is, your own true core self, how is that being assaulted? How many ways is it doing it? It's through the food, through the milk, through the sugar, through the meat, through the pharmaceuticals, the pills, etc. And then up to the next level, through the conditioning of the people around you from the time you've been a child. Look at their lives, or were their lives working for them, and your neighbors and all of these people, and start to put together this framework of just how you are in the fishbowl, totally and utterly programmed by all of your environment. Because environment, at least, has been understood now is so incredibly important to the development of the mind, and it never stops being. You talked earlier about how the Illuminati, would need so many years to continue their program, that why didn't it end just after the catastrophe, remember?
Yeah, it takes this maintenance, it takes this constant holding down.
Right, because the thing is unnatural, anti-organic to begin with. But anything that is unsustainable in a sense, of course, requires constant injections of energy and constant maintenance and constant blind, obeisance to keep it moving, because it's a thing that if left for 5 minutes on its own would simply rot. Nobody would have anything to do with it, you see. So the whole thing requires constant maintenance.
I think that's a really great thing to look at, because that force that they're holding down, that just shows the strength, and that shows the power within it. And when you do look at every direction, there is something that is blocking your signal.
Right, and what would happen if you got so turned on to the real, like you started doing even a little, society or human beings or the individual, start turning on to what was really happening from within them as opposed to without them, the hands would automatically loosen and all this other shit would drop, just like it has in my life, just like it has happened in the lives of ordinary people who have worked this out. It doesn't require a crown, it doesn't require some gold chain or some special some special genius in a sort of a formal sense at all. It requires being turned on to what you are within. And I guarantee you that when you find what that is, there will be some sort of external, concomitant. You may in turn be a great artist. You might find that it's through making movies, that is an expression. It may very well be even in working with music or working with architecture. All the things that we know can still exist, but they'll now come as an expression, as a permutation of you being turned on within to who you are as you start to discover more of your selfhood. When a person is in that state, their interest, it's like the mad professor, their interest in what's going outside their door and all the other garbage is immediately stopped, you see, and all of that stuff drops out of the way. This is what I meant earlier when I was talking about the Zen way, that when your enemy can no longer destroy you, because you're so absolutely immune to anything that they might do, then you've won the game without ever having to lift a weapon, without ever having to lift a tool of belligerence towards your enemy at all. This is the way that man's future lies. This is the way that his salvation is. You see, and it might be writing, so for somebody it might be writing, for somebody it might be poetry, for somebody it might be working with people in society, it might be the education of children or whatever. Who knows? It could be any number of things. But the attention to the lie, the dependency upon all those manufactured things that are just so nonsensical, the affluenza, you see, this whole hyper interest in the material world and the shopping malls and all the garbage that's been created for us. The maintenance of the lie ends on the day when people find the truth within themselves. And it's not going to be a destructive thing. It will be destructive to those who are destroyers, but that's okay. It's perfect. It's a perfect solution. Let them be devoured by their own energy. Let them be devoured by what they are. Because as I said, that which is unsustainable, if left for 5 minutes without maintenance, would rot of its own nature and you wouldn't have it anymore. We have to discover what it is within us on all levels, but physical. What are our physical needs that call this monstrosity into being? What is on our emotional and spiritual and psychological level? What's it even on our relationship level? What is it in all the levels that we have these needs, where something brilliant and excellent has been taken away and removed from us, and something artificial and deathly has been replaced? This is what is behind the subliminal problem of subliminal advertising, where subliminals and art and beautiful creativity could be used to take your soul up to incredible heights, is now being used to destroy you and to confuse you and to confuse the minds of children and to make them bulimic and all these dietary horrors, that young girls have and all of this kind of thing, all being created by the subliminal. Yes, exactly, the anorexia. All of this nonsense, all of this image manufacturing, you see. If a man or a woman was, solid inside themselves and not a thing that anybody else said to them mattered, do you think they'd buy into all this garbage on television and all this malarkey about, how you should look and what you should be thinking and how you should be dressing and all of this stuff? People would laugh to death over it. But there's been a slow, gradual raping of what man is, and that rape is psychological. It is not political. This is what people have to understand. And once they understand this, they'll pick up the psychological tools, you see, to, set this aright.